You know what's weird? Some of the most perceptive, emotionally sharp people you will ever meet didn't get their edge from a high-end college, expensive mentors, or years of meditation. They didn't attend seminars on leadership, and they certainly didn't learn how to read people by studying textbooks on psychology. They got it because at some point in their life, they had no other choice. Their brain didn't learn to be smart for a grade, a gold star, or a promotion. It learned to be smart to survive. It was forced to innovate in the middle of the dark.
Psychologists have started to identify this phenomenon, and they've given it a name that carries a lot of weight: traumatic intelligence. If you've ever felt like you see things others miss, if you've ever felt like you're constantly scanning the world around you like a radar in a storm, this video is going to explain more about your mind than you've probably ever realized. Because here is the raw truth that society often hides. Trauma doesn't just leave scars. It doesn't just leave you broken. In many cases, it sharpens you. It tempers you. It turns you into a weapon of pure perception. Think about it for a second. Think about a regular social gathering. Most people walk into a room and just see a room. They see the chairs, people, the lighting, the curtains, maybe even a TV in the corner. They are drifting through the experience, reacting to things as they happen. But for you, the experience is entirely different. You walk into the same room and you instantly feel the static. You notice the tension in someone's shoulders across the room before they've even spoken. You catch a micro-expression that lasted for half a second, a flicker of doubt, a flash of anger, a shadow of sadness. You hear the slight, almost imperceptible drop in someone's tone when they say they're fine. This isn't just you being sensitive or dramatic. This is your brain acting as an invisible compass, helping you navigate a landscape that most people don't even know exists. The first sign you possess traumatic intelligence is that you can read a room before a single word is spoken. You don't just observe, you scan. When you were younger, or perhaps during a particularly difficult period in your adult life, your environment was unpredictable. Maybe you lived with a caregiver whose mood changed like the weather, sunshine one minute, a hurricane the next. Or maybe you were in a situation where your safety depended on your ability to anticipate danger before it actually arrived. Your brain, being the survival genius it is, decided to stop being passive. It developed a protocol. It started drawing an invisible map of every social situation you enter. You aren't just looking for the exits, though you probably know where they are. You're looking for emotional exits. Who is the dominant personality here? Who is feeling insecure and might lash out? Is the vibe safe, or is the air getting heavy with unspoken conflict? Most people in your life probably call this overthinking. They tell you to just relax or stop being so paranoid. But your brain knows better. It has been conditioned to understand that information is safety. That invisible map you're constantly drawing, that's not a burden. It's a high-level strategic adaptation. You are a cartographer of human behavior, mapping out the risks so you never get caught off guard again. While others are surprised by a sudden argument or a shift in mood, you saw it coming 20 minutes ago. You aren't too much, you're just more aware of the topography of the room than everyone else combined.
The cost of the map? The exhaustion of awareness. There's a part of this that people don't talk about on the surface, the sheer exhaustion of being a mapmaker. When your brain is constantly running these background scans, it's using an immense amount of energy. Have you ever gone to a simple grocery store and come home feeling like you ran a marathon? It's because you weren't just buying milk. You were processing the energy of the cashier, the subtle aggression of the person pushing the cart too fast, and the underlying tension of the crowded aisles. This is the trade-off of traumatic intelligence. Your brain traded peace of mind for security of information. You know everything that's happening, but you rarely get the luxury of just being. Understanding that this exhaustion is a physiological response, not a personal weakness, is the first step toward managing it. You aren't tired because you're weak. You're tired because your supercomputer is always running at 100% usage.
Sign 2. The energy mismatch detector. The second sign is that you have a built-in BS detector that feels almost supernatural. You know when someone is lying, even when their words are rehearsed to perfection. You notice the tiny, microscopic gap between what a person says and the energy they're actually putting out into the world. For example, imagine a coworker congratulates you on a promotion. Their words are, "I'm so happy for you," but you feel the coldness behind their eyes. You see the way their jaw tightens for a fraction of a second. Or a friend says they aren't mad at you, but you can hear the sharpness in how they set their glass down on the table, a sound that anyone else would ignore, but to you, it's a siren. This happens because your brain became a master of high-fidelity data processing. While others are focused on the lyrics of the conversation, you're listening to the rhythm, the frequency, and the implications. This is deeply rooted in neurobiology. When you grow up needing to track emotional shifts to stay safe, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, becomes ultra-fine-tuned. It's like your brain upgraded its software from a basic black and white camera to an ultra-high-definition infrared sensor. You see the heat of anger, the cold of resentment, and the hidden layers of deceit. In the online communities, Reddit, Facebook, the places where we find our tribe, people often call this the curse of seeing too much. It makes it hard to trust people because you see the shadow self that everyone else tries to hide. But look at it from a strategic angle. You have an incredible advantage. You aren't easily manipulated. You see the strings being pulled. You aren't cynical. You're just calibrated to the frequency of truth. The social mirror, why you feel like an outsider. Because you see these mismatches so clearly, you often feel like an outsider. You see the social play that everyone is acting in, and you realize you're the only one who knows it's a script. This can lead to a profound sense of loneliness. You might find yourself thinking, does no one else see this? The answer is no, they don't. They aren't looking. Their brains weren't forced to develop the sensors yours did. This doesn't mean they are stupid, but it does mean that you are operating on a different level of perception. You are a truth seeker in a world that often prefers the comfort of the lie. That's a lonely path, but it's also a powerful one. The science, stress inoculation, and the prefrontal upgrade. Let's dive into the why for a moment. Why did your brain choose this difficult, intense path? Why couldn't it just be normal? Researchers in developmental psychology talk about a concept called stress inoculation. It's the idea that when you are exposed to high-pressure, unpredictable environments early in life, your nervous system essentially levels up to handle it. It's the psychological equivalent of a child athlete training in extreme conditions. While other people's brains were learning how to relax and be passive, yours was learning how to analyze, adapt, and predict. It was inoculated against chaos. This isn't just a feeling. It changes the physical structure of your brain. Your prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for complex decision-making, social behavior, and strategic thinking, becomes significantly more active in social situations. Your brain is a supercomputer that's always running a background scan. It's exhausting, yes, but it's also the reason you're 10 steps ahead of everyone else. You've been trained in a way that most people will never understand. Sign number 3. Calm in the center of the storm. Sign number 3 is one of the most defining characteristics of traumatic intelligence, and it's something that deeply confuses people who don't have it. When things fall apart, when there's a sudden crisis, a high-stakes problem, or everything descends into chaos, you don't freeze, you don't panic. In fact, you might feel a strange, almost eerie sense of calm wash over you. While everyone else is screaming, losing their heads, or paralyzed by fear, your brain finally feels like it's in its natural habitat. It's as if a switch flips inside you. The noise of the world fades out, and you enter a state of hyper-focus. This is because your nervous system was built for the storm. For you, chaos isn't a new threat, it's a familiar language. You've been managing internal or external hurricanes for so long that a regular life crisis feels like a minor inconvenience. You step into problem-solver mode with cold, strategic precision. You identify the most urgent task, you delegate responsibilities, and you act without the hesitation that plagues others.
Think back to a time when something went wrong, a car accident, a sudden breakup, a medical emergency. Did you notice how your mind just clicked into gear? You became the adult in the room, even if you were the youngest one there. That is traumatic intelligence. You aren't heartless or numb, you are optimized for survival. You have a crisis protocol that most people only see in movies. You are the one people look to when the lights go out, because you're the only one who's comfortable navigating the dark. You are the anchor in the storm. The dark side of the calm, the post-crisis crash. The only problem with being the anchor in the storm is what happens when the storm finally ends. When the crisis is over and everyone else is breathing a sigh of relief, that's usually when you crash. Your body has been running on pure adrenaline and survival smarts, and once the threat is gone, your system realizes how much energy it spent. This is why many people with traumatic intelligence find themselves getting sick or feeling deeply depressed right after a major success or a resolved crisis. Your brain finally thinks it's safe to stop, and the weight of the world hits you all at once.
Sign 4. The hyper-independence trap. The fourth sign is one of the most common yet most difficult to overcome, the "I'll do it myself" mentality. You have an incredible ability to find solutions, build systems, and fix things without ever asking for help. You are, quite literally, a one-person army. From a strategic standpoint, this is pure brilliance. You are your own best resource. You are competent, resourceful, and capable of handling almost anything the world throws at you. But from a psychological standpoint, it's a shield. It's a sign that your brain learned a very hard lesson early on. Depending on others is a risk I cannot afford. If the people in your past weren't reliable, if they weren't there when you needed them, your brain made an executive decision. I will be the only reliable person in my universe. This makes you exceptionally competent. You're the person who knows a little bit about everything because you've had to figure it all out yourself. You're the simple guy who can explain a complex problem because you've had to break it down for your own survival. But notice the cost. You're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you're doing it in complete silence. This hyper-independence is a high-level survival skill, but it's also a wall that keeps people out. Understanding that your competence is a response to lack of support is the key to moving from surviving to actually living. You don't have to do everything alone anymore, even if your brain still tries to tell you that you do. Sign 5. The burden of pattern recognition. The final sign is that you can see how things will end before they even start. It's like having a crystal ball, but instead of magic, it's powered by trauma-based data. You see the patterns in people's behavior, the tiny inconsistencies, the way they treat waitstaff, the specific way they deflect blame, and you know exactly where the story is headed. You see that a relationship won't work, that a job will be toxic, or that a new friend isn't who they say they are. It's like watching a movie you've already seen 1,000 times. You might tell someone, "I have a bad feeling about this person," and because they don't see what you see, they call you negative, judgmental, or cynical. Then 6 months or a year later, when everything crashes exactly how you predicted, they come back to you and ask, "How did you know?" You didn't know through some mystical intuition. You knew because your brain is a master of pattern recognition. You've seen the red flags before, usually because you were hurt by them in the past, and your traumatic intelligence has archived every single one of them. You aren't being a pessimist, you're being a realist with a very deep, very painful database. You see the glitch in the matrix because you've had to study the matrix to stay alive. This is often called Cassandra's curse, seeing the disaster coming but unable to convince others until it's too late. It's a burden, but it's also your greatest protection.
Standing on your own terms. Imagine yourself for a moment. You're standing in the middle of a crowded, loud room.
The music is thumping, the lights are bright, people are laughing, and the air is thick with 1,000 simultaneous conversations. Most people there are just drifting. They're reacting to the music, reacting to the jokes, just floating along on the surface of the moment. But not you. You are standing there, and you can feel the entire room. You see the man in the corner who's pretending to be happy, but is actually checking his phone every 10 seconds with a look of pure anxiety. You see the couple at the bar whose smiles are a bit too forced, the tension between them that could be cut with a knife. You feel the invisible map expanding in your mind, marking the safe zones, the exits, and the emotional landmines. And then, in the middle of all that data, it hits you. You don't have to be a victim of this perception. You don't have to be too sensitive. You don't have to be the person who's always too much. You can take a deep, grounding breath, feel the solid floor beneath your feet, and realize that this intelligence is yours to command. You aren't scanning because you're afraid anymore. You're scanning because you are the most aware person in the room. You aren't broken, you were forged. The heat of your past didn't melt you, it tempered you into something stronger. You are like a piece of high-quality steel that was hammered and folded over and over until it became a blade. And a blade's job is not to be soft or normal. A blade's job is to cut through the noise and see the truth. You have the power to see through the BS of the world and find what is real.
What do you do with the power? Traumatic intelligence is a heavy, complicated gift. It's the rarest form of smart because it costs so much to acquire. It costs you your peace of mind, your innocent childhood, and your ability to just relax like everyone else seems to do so easily. It is a smartness born from the fire. But once you understand it, once you stop fighting it, you can finally start using it. You can stop asking, why am I like this? And start asking, what can I do with this superpower? You have an elite level of empathy that can heal others. You have a strategic mind that can solve problems before they even manifest. You have a BS detector that protects not only you, but the people you care about. You have a depth of character and a resilience that makes your connections, when you finally find someone worthy of your trust, stronger than anything most people will ever experience in their entire lives. The world needs people who can see the invisible maps. The world needs people who aren't afraid of the truth. So stop trying to turn your brain off. Stop trying to fit into a normal that wasn't built for a mind like yours. Embrace the fact that you see the layers. Embrace the fact that you are adapted. Because the moment you stop seeing your intelligence as a scar and start seeing it as a superpower, everything in your life changes. You aren't just a survivor anymore. You are a strategist. You are a cartographer of the human soul. You are the one who knows the way through the dark. If this felt like I was talking directly to you, there's a reason for that. This channel is for the quiet observers, the deep thinkers, and the ones who have had to grow up faster than they should have. We're exploring the parts of the mind that the rest of the world ignores. Don't forget to subscribe and join our community, because once you understand how your mind works, you stop being a prisoner of your past and start becoming the architect of your future. You were built for this. Stay aware, stay sharp, and remember, you're not overthinking. You're just seeing the map.